Stick this in your ear.
The number one internet shock radio network.
Shock me with that deviant behavior.
Renegade Talk Radio.
Now we're just having to get the money out as fast as possible before they come in and like stop it. It truly feels like we're on the Titanic and we're throwing like gold bars off the edge.
Who are the gold bars going to?
Nonprofits, states, tribes. We gave them the money because it was harder. If it was a government-run program, they could take the money away. If Trump won, and because it was a insurance policy against Trump winning. Until the Trump people come in and tell us we can no longer give out money. I do environmental, climate, policy things.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Is that stuff is here?
I mean, because I do like federal government climate things. Well, I have been doing that, but that might change. But
why?
Because it's tough. So look at the EPA. So a lot is going to change.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I do, you know, the Inflation Reduction Act. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Okay, Biden's climate law.
Yes.
Yeah. So I do IRA implementation. I work with like Biden appointees. The money that we've given out like tens of billions of dollars. Like over the last year we've given out probably like $50 billion.
$50 million?
Billion with a B.
$50 billion.
Yes, for climate things. So like to go work for one of these places, I think would be really cool.
What are the places that you've given them to?
It's only been a few weeks, so it's a little early. But like green banks, so they're like nonprofit institutions that are like making it more financially feasible to build renewables, to do like climate projects. I do implementation now, so I do like how do you spend $100 billion? How do you make sure that like they're the proper? Well, until recently, how do you make sure the proper like processes are in place to like prevent fraud and to prevent abuse and like ensure that like we are funding like good paying jobs and that sort of stuff. Now we're just having to get the money out as fast as possible before they come in and like stop it.
Really?
Yeah.
You can do that?
To an extent, just like within reason. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not? Because if it's not gonna,
basically that's what it all is now. I mean, now it all is like, it truly feels like we're on the Titanic and we're throwing like gold bars off the edge.
Does it really? You kind of feel weird.
It's weird. I mean, it's weird. It's not good vibes. It's not good. I mean, everyone's very sad.
Who are the gold bars going to?
Nonprofits, states, tribes, cities.
Anything like in the news that I would know of?
Not yet.
Like any organization, like.
Well, they're all local. A lot of them are small, not like local nonprofits. This is like a big thing that most of the stuff we funded, but the thing that we haven't funded yet are like the local nonprofit program that like was going to be like a inter-Kamala Harris administration program. So now we're just like getting it as quick as possible.
Right. It's to the tune of $50 billion.
No, it's like $2 billion at this point. But yeah, we've got most of it. Like 90% is out. But
wow. Yeah. And what happens if they try to stop it? They can?
When they come in, if you haven't gotten out the door, then they can stop it.
Yeah, like 2 months. If they don't get it out by a certain date, what's that date?
It's the inauguration, the 20th. It's renewed on the 20th of January. Yeah.
So you can work right down to the minute.
It's probably like a little after noon, but yeah, it's basically noon. Yeah.
Hey, throw a couple billion here and there.
It's until the Trump people come in and tell us we can no longer give out money.
Wow.
So that's at the very earliest, it's noon on the 20th, and it's probably a little bit after because they have to get in the building and tell people what to do.
Will they come in and stop?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will come in and they will issue an order that like all grants have to stop. EPA can't give any money out until we reevaluate anything, and then they'll say we're reevaluating it, and then Congress will say we're stopping this entirely, and they'll pass a law that says all this money doesn't exist anymore that you wanted to give out. No, I think we gave them the money because it was harder. If it was a government-run program, they could take the money away. If Trump won, and because it was a insurance policy.
Well, that's just an EPA advisor caught on hidden camera by Project Veritas admitting the deep state is deep stating against Donald Trump and engaging in all types of, quote, insurance policies. Still don't believe there's a deep state. Still don't believe they hate you. Still don't believe they even believe in the democratic process when we elect a president. Well, there'll be more evidence. It's Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. This is the InfoWars War Room. And we have 47 days, 19 hours until Inauguration Day. And yes, the Biden administration, the Democrat Party, the deep state, is doing everything they can while they still have power, everything they can to sabotage Trump, everything they can to launder money all around the world, weapons all around the world, the entrenched bureaucracies just in all types of money grabs before they're booted or shut down. It's all happening with just a few months until the inauguration. Now, we have, I would say, an update. I think the numbers are probably finalized in the House of Representatives. The two seats that the Republicans had been leading in from election night up till about a week ago have officially flipped for the Democrats. Now, they haven't called all these seats, but it's done. They're going to steal the seats. It's over. Now, the Republicans, looks like, are going to win Iowa District 1. We were concerned about that. That looks like it is going to be in the hands of the Republicans. So I think the final number will be 220 to 215. I believe that's the final number. Point is, very slim majority. Very slim majority. If a couple Republicans flip, if a couple Republicans don't attend to vote, you're looking at a situation where Mike Johnson is going to have to do incredible politicking to make sure he has every single vote needed to implement policy. That means every single Republican has to vote, really at Trump's behest, or at whatever the MAGA movement is moving for. And he's going to have to make sure that every Republican shows up to vote. I mean, you'll be looking at a situation where 2 or 3 Republicans don't show up, and all the Democrats do, could have a problem. Could have a problem. So, and it's unfortunately gone as we predicted, and I believe it's going to be 220 to 215, or is it 219? I can't remember the number exactly off the top of my head, but I believe it's going to be 220 to 215 is going to be the final number there. So it's really incredible how it doesn't get much attention that for 2 weeks on election night and 2 weeks after election night, I guess you could say we're officially a month removed from the election now. Does it feel like a month? It feels like longer. We are a month removed from the election now. And for election night and 2 weeks later, Republicans are leading this seat. Democrats flip one, call it, in California. Democrats just flipped the other one 3 weeks after the election, and now that's going to go for the Democrats. And there's just, nobody talks about it. Nobody bats an eye. Luckily, they were able to maintain Iowa District 1, or you'd be looking at a 219, 216. Now, Mike Johnson and other Republicans have came out and said, we're not concerned about a small majority. We'll be able to get the votes needed during session. Well, we shall see. We shall see. But I'd say that's pretty much a done deal, ladies and gentlemen. So do you believe that? Do you think there's some shenanigans there? It shouldn't even be legal. You should not have a situation where the candidate that's leading 2 weeks, 3 weeks after election night, then they flip the seat and lose. And it always goes for the Democrats. I have been covering elections here. Let's see. 2016, 2018 midterms, 2020 president, 2022 midterms, 2024 president. I have covered 5 election cycles here at InfoWars. 5 election cycles. And each election cycle, if you've been watching the War Room, following my coverage here since 2016, thank you for sticking around. But in case you haven't, every single election cycle, I've documented this, I've reported on this, and it only goes one way. A Republican is leading the race after or on election night, sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and then magically it flips for the Democrat. I have never, not even one time, ever seen it go for a Republican. Not once. It's only gone for a Democrat. Every single time. Senate races, House races. Hell, even a presidential race once. Not one time has it ever gone for a for a Republican. Not even once. And I'm supposed to believe that? I'm supposed to believe that's legitimate? I'm not supposed to have questions? I'm not supposed to see that and say, boy, that's fishy. What are the odds of that? Pretty amazing stuff, isn't it? I'd say conservatively speaking, in the 5 election cycles I've covered here, we've seen this happen probably 24 times, conservatively speaking. That's 24 times. And not a single time has it ever been the Republican that flips it after the election. It's always been the Democrat. Every single time. So there you go. There's your update on the House. I'd say it's pretty much a done deal. 220 to 215. Smallest majority in nearly a century. After such a incredible result for Trump in the presidential election, it's hard to believe, and even a great result in the Senate too. It's hard to believe that this is how it went down in the House. But of course, we saw what happened at the Senate in Wisconsin too, didn't we? Didn't we? So there you have it. 53 seats in the Senate for Republicans, 220 in the House. They do have the White House, the Senate, and the House, but I am very concerned. I'm very concerned because at the Senate level, there is an anti-Freedom Caucus, anti-Trump voting bloc of John Thune, Mitch McConnell, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. That concerns me. And at the House level, with such a small majority, a couple things can go wrong. A couple people cannot show up. Maybe a Republican or 2 flips. There goes your majority on a very important issue, on a very important vote. So these are going to be very interesting things to follow in this next congressional session. Let's see if the current Republican Party has any political will and can truly get united behind Donald Trump. Let's just see. Let's just find that out. You know, I know we're just all so sick of it, but It is true. I do know one thing the Republican Party will unite behind. Do I even need to say it? It's got a flag with a star in the middle of it. Do I even need to say it? Oh, we'll have no problem getting support for Israel, but getting behind Trump's agenda, getting behind the American agenda, getting behind the America First agenda, well, we might have a problem on that. Isn't that amazing? It's very frustrating. Well, then on the other side, the Democrats, they're not too happy with Biden's exit strategy here. And I do think to a certain degree Joe has gone rogue. And I'm not just talking about in Africa where he's like wandering off and the gaggle from Angola has to jerk him by the arm to get him back in line because he's just like wandering around. No, I think he's gone rogue in that he's kind of sticking it to the Democrats here on his way out because of how they stuck it to him and ran the coup against him and decided to go with Kamala in the last hour instead of him. And I think that the pardon of Hunter has a little bit to do with that, and they're not too happy. Now, of course, you do have the Democrat loyalists and the Biden loyalists that are supporting Joe Biden, the party types. Then you have the types that are, kind of in a blue area, but, has some red voters, has some moderate voters, aren't fully hardcore leftists, and they're not happy. They think this is damaging the Democrat Party, and they're probably right. One last legacy of Biden and this administration, another lie, another gigantic lie. Democrats criticize Joe Biden's pardon of Hunter Biden. Multiple Democrats slam Biden pardon of Hunter, and they are going to the press. They are going to the press. Senator Peter Welch from Vermont, President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter is, as the action of a loving father, understandable, but as the action of our nation's chief executive, unwise. Senator Gary Peters from Michigan posted that the pardon was wrong. Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado said it puts personal interest ahead of duty and further erodes America's faith that the justice system is fair and equal for all. Yeah, a number of big-name Democrats upset with Biden for doing this. Representative Greg Landsman, Democrat from Ohio. As a father, I get it, but as someone who wants people to believe in public service again, it's a setback. It's a setback. You have Democrats like Representative Jerry Connolly. He's doubting now the constitutional powers of the pardon. Is what he's saying. I really think we have to revisit the pardon power in the Constitution. Wow. Now, there was a funny moment with one Dan Goldman. You got to believe that, for this guy to be such a lying, corrupt Democrat, you think, he's like dipped in baby oil at a Diddy party on video or something, the way he talks. But he went on CNN, and their arguments protecting Biden have all been the same. Well, he's a loving father, or more importantly, this is the talking point they got. The context has changed. Oh, the context has changed. Well, the context has changed, so it's okay now. He didn't lie. The context has changed. But even CNN is holding the feet to the fire of Dan Goldman and playing his own clips to him. And And then he tries to back out of it and say, this was before the plea bargain. Well, no, that isn't true either, Dan. CNN calling out Dan Goldman to his face. This is great television. Clip 7.
In July of 2023, just after that plea deal fell through, this is what you said. I want to watch.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor.
Hold on. Stop it. Hold on. Hold on. Let me just enjoy this coffee real quick. Let me take a nice sip of this fresh, piping hot coffee. Oh, could you guys just play that back for me one more time? I really want to savor this. I'm savoring this like a sip of fresh coffee. Play that. What was that, Dan, you said in July? There's no possible circumstance he would pardon his son. Guys, let me just, please.
Do you think a pardon for his son would be a mistake?
Yes, and I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends and anyone who had any access to him. And I think you see that in this case, where he kept on, and Merrick Garland kept on, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney to investigate the president's son. If there is not an indication of the independence of the Department of Justice beyond that, I don't know what we could look for.
Independence.
What does that feel like, watching yourself back then, reassuring people that Biden was not going to issue a pardon for his son?
Yeah, and I think that if that plea agreement and that plea deal had gone through, there would be no pardon. That was a satisfactory outcome.
It had already fallen through.
That only was. Oh, sorry?
When you reacted, this was when the deal had fallen through.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying.
Ooh. Well, it's beautiful. They got caught in a lie, and they'll never admit it. And it's beautiful to watch. It's beautiful because the American people are seeing this, folks. And look, I take the good with the bad, okay? And right now, after this election, the Democrats are being forced to look in the mirror and say, what went wrong? The Democrats are being forced in the mirror to say, what do we need to do? They can't believe that they lost to Trump. I mean, this is Hitler. This is the ultimate racist and rapist and all the other lies that they've told about Trump. And they lost. And now, with Biden pardoning Hunter, it just puts the focus right back on him. They're supposed to have, this is supposed to be like a break. This is supposed to be end of the game. They get to go and refresh and reshuffle the deck. And then Biden pardons his son, and all eyes are right back on these Democrats that just got mopped up in the 2024 election. And then they're going on television and they're saying, we're going to make sure illegal immigrants get more money. We're going to make sure illegal immigrants don't get deported. That's ticking off these voters. So they're bringing the average American, who normally would be tuned out of politics at this point, and they're bringing them right back in. And it's the same old story. Gee, the Democrats lied about everything. Gee, the Democrats are putting non-Americans ahead of Americans. So it's beautiful to watch, I have to say. And we'll have more on that coming up in the next segment with what's going on in Chicago. The Washington Post. The remarkable scope of Hunter Biden's pardon offers little to no precedent. Well, this is the precedent. The extraordinary breadth of Hunter Biden's pardon. No, this is the precedent. There has never been anything like this. To say that it's a pardon for crimes that you may have committed that you haven't even been charged with yet. Again, I'm pretty sure that all of Hunter's partners were willing and, probably got paid. So I don't think he's a rapist, but I'm saying, so what if there's a rape charge? Pardoned? I mean, it's completely ludicrous. And now people are digging into this and saying, okay, And I watched the shift. I watched the shift from yesterday to today. And yesterday it was all about, look, Karine Jean-Pierre said they'd never pardon. Look, Joe Biden said he'd never pardon. Look, all the Democrats say he'd never pardon. Look, all the media said he'd never pardon. All the compilations, all of it. We played a lot of it. That was yesterday. Today, it's all about the Biden crime family. Today, the media landscape is all talking about how this is Joe Biden pardoning himself. Saying, why would he say, oh, of crimes you may have committed or any charges? Oh, well, it's because of political persecution. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's buying it. So it's almost Biden admitting Hunter committed other crimes. But what crimes would Hunter be committing except in the name of his father? Selling the country out. The cobalt mines with the Chinese companies. The Ukrainian gas companies. Again, half a dozen foreign countries just from the Oversight Committee spreadsheet that we know of. Bank records, checks. 2 of Biden's business partners have gone public. So this thing isn't going away. It, once again, comes down to, are Republicans going to get serious about it? I mean, they certainly have no problem saying the right things. Representative Jim Jordan, no one is above the law except Hunter Biden, illegal aliens, rioters, and looters. Okay, so do something about it. You're on the Oversight Committee. Let's get another hearing before this congressional session is over. Let's call Hunter Biden to testify. Well, Mike Lee insinuates he's going to do just that. Senator Mike Lee says, I look forward to Hunter Biden testifying before the Senate Judiciary Committee. I want to know the answer to an important question. Who is the big guy? Of course, we all know who the big guy is. 10% for the big guy. And then we have the bank transactions that show Biden getting 10% of the money that went into Hunter's account. And they have it with other family members, too. They just had only been going after the Hunter Biden case. Hunter Biden's special counsel fires back at president's claim that first son was selectively unfairly prosecuted. And now, so the Senate Judiciary Committee says, nope, we're still calling Hunter to testify. And the special counsel has pushed back. The DOJ has pushed back saying, well, we're still going after the Biden. We're still going after the Hunter case. So Hunter might not go to jail, and perhaps this pardon stops him from receiving any punishment, but it looks like the details of this may still come out, and it may all lead back to, of course, Joe Biden. Now, is any of this relevant with Biden about to leave the White House? I say yes. I say yes, because if these people get caught selling our country out, they need to be punished.
My fellow patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonesstore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonesstore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, that's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down thealexjonesstore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.
The War Room. Infowars.com/show.
The beacon of truth in a world of deceit. It's the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
You know, Biden gave a gigantic middle finger to the American people again today. $1 billion for Africa. I'll tell you all about that, what that's really about. But the shift that we saw in the 2024 presidential election cycle, where Kamala Harris didn't flip a single county, and if you look at the map of political shifts, it all shifted right. It all shifted red. I think this is a growing trend. I think this shift continues based upon the success of President Donald Trump in his second administration. And I think that the media attacks and the illegitimate attacks from Democrats in Congress, it's not going to stick like it did in the first term. All their old attacks of Russian collusion or all the other attacks they have, it's not going to work. If he's successful, gets the economy back humming, stops the illegal immigration crisis that's overwhelming these cities and towns, brings peace back to multiple regions, Ukraine, the Middle East. I mean, those are just basic things. If he can get done, it'll be a massive success, and this shift from blue to red will continue. It's going to take years in cities like Chicago. And yet, listen to this city council meeting in Chicago yesterday with Mayor Johnson. They're still wearing their Trump gear. They're not dropping the main issues. They haven't forgotten what the Democrats have done. This is not going away. And it's going to reach a point. I mean, you do wonder how people like Nancy Pelosi stay in office for so long, how these Democrats are able to win elections for 50-plus years in cities like Chicago when the cities have done nothing but go downhill under the Democrat rule in multiple ways: education, safety, security, infrastructure, economy, all of it. You do wonder, it's like, how do the Democrats stay in power? Is it even legitimate? Well, especially when you see this at city council meetings in clip 4.
Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want to forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you keep your, hold on a second, stop her time. Stop her time.
You told Trump you ain't gonna blink? Well, we ain't either. You ain't above the law. And where you gonna run to when Trump pulls that Trump card out on you?
There's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals.
You all sit up there and said you would not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that, on illegals. You campaign and double down that you would not raise property taxes. I ain't gonna do that. You campaign went around doing that. And here we are right now. You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all said y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this Negro right here first. Please come here first, because you know what? We're going to help you. We want to forensic.
Ma'am, I would ask that you keep your, hold on a second. Stop her time. Stop her time. Just a second. Stop her time. Ma'am, I would ask that you, if you want to continue speaking, you have to make sure that your language is appropriate, okay? All right.
Now, let me pause it real quick, as there's still some left on this clip, and explain what's happening here. Why do the Democrats want you obsessed with identity politics? Why do the Democrats want you obsessed with racial politics? Why do they want black people hating white people or hating police officers? All these different identity boxes they want to put you in and have all these Americans fighting with one another. Because if the American people realized who the real enemies of this country were, If the American people realized who the real people hurting them, hurting their lifestyle, hurting their future, hurting their children were, this is what city councils would look like. So instead, they want Americans, black Americans specifically, in a case like Chicago, where that's how you win office, you win the black vote. They want black people hating white folks and blaming them for slavery. They want black people hating police officers and saying they're racists. But see, the minute that propaganda fails and the minute their attention turns right back to that Democrat that's hurt their way of life, hurt their bottom line, this is what happens right here. And once that genie's out of the bottle, folks, it's over. It's done. They tried in Chicago to do a police brutality case where a person was killed, a black person was killed by a white police officer. It didn't take. They tried to kick it off. It didn't take. No, now what do you see? Now they go to city council and then they point right at the mayor and they say, 10-year prison sentence. And they say, I hope Trump comes and deals with this Negro. Oh, that's not what they want. No, they want you in the streets hating the white man. They want you in the streets hating the police. It ain't working. Finish the clip.
You can begin your time again.
You're going to spend our tax dollars to go, Michael Rodriguez, you said to take Trump to court to protect these illegals. You said you're going to spend our tax dollars to take Trump to court to protect these illegals if they try to come in your district. And then you said all of y'all in cahoots with each other to do it. Okay, so now we about to make y'all famous. We're going to let all y'all constituents know who y'all ratting for, that y'all wouldn't spend our tax dollars to protect illegals and to get them legal services. So that's what we're doing. That's cool because we about to make all of y'all aldermen famous. Flip Chicago red. We not playing.
Yeah, wearing T-shirts, multiple speakers. By the way, that goes on for 45 minutes. Wearing red T-shirts that say Chicago flips red. This is a movement that just started about a year or so ago. Really kicked off with the migrant invasion into these Democrat cities. Resulted in some votes for Trump. Trump performed better this go around than 2020 in major cities. But what is, I don't want to get too much into these local solutions here. How do you actually flip these cities red? It has to be a cult of personality like Donald Trump to come in and do it, but at a local level. So you would need a local icon with big name recognition, a big following that can't be ignored to come in there, take on these issues, create a buzz in the streets that would get people to go out and vote, and you could finally maybe unseat these Democrats. That is, if you even trust the election process at all. And there's reason to think that maybe you shouldn't. But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 4 years in cities like Chicago, where the Democrats are getting less and less popular, and these movements are getting more and more momentum to try to flip these cities red. And then all it takes is one victory. It doesn't matter if it's Chicago or anywhere else, but let's say it's Chicago. It takes one victory, just one victory, and then you turn a city around, you turn a culture around, and then it spreads like wildfire. And then it spreads like wildfire. Maybe it'll be Chicago. By the way, we got Tom Homan and Eric Adams. Adams, he's ready to cooperate with the Trump administration. First, let's hear from Tom Homan confirming that this is the case in clip 2.
The Democratic mayor in New York, Eric Adams, a former cop, is ready to work with you.
I hope so, because I've just been notified he wants to sit down and meet with me. I'm willing to meet with him. I'm willing to meet with anybody to help make their community safer. Because, again, prioritization out of the gate is public safety threats. Work with us on that. It makes your community safer. It keeps my officers safe. It keeps the community safe. Let's work together and get this done.
When's that meeting happen?
I haven't responded yet, but I'll respond this week.
Okay, we'll be in touch with you and him.
Now, here was Eric Adams addressing the people of New York City regarding this meeting in clip 3.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
You're open to that?
Open to?
To hearing what their plan is to deport some of these folks, and you think the city, in some circumstances, should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state in the era of cancel culture, no one is afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
Well, they're not really asylum seekers. And maybe we should kind of address all of this. The Biden administration changed what it meant to be an asylum seeker. So all of these people could come in, and it was basically like blanket asylum, kind of like a blanket pardon. It was just blanket asylum. The normal rules of what it takes to apply for asylum or to qualify as an asylum seeker, they basically threw it out the window and just said anybody and everybody can declare an asylum seeker. And so that was the first loophole. But then there's this retort that you hear all the time from the liberal media. Well, and it's, an interesting argument, but okay. Who's going to pick your crops, says Nancy Pelosi. Who's going to clean your toilets? Who's going to do your construction and all these other things? Well, that is a small percentage of illegal immigrants. Most of the 20 million illegal immigrants that came in under the Biden administration have either refugee or asylum-seeking status. They don't work. They live off the taxpayer dime. They live off of welfare. And because of all these NGOs, you have a certain window of time with the government to get your stuff together while you're on welfare. But then they just go to these NGO centers, and then they're good to go. So, yeah, you got like 90 days, asylum, refugee status, whatever it is, and you can live off the government welfare, but then after that, your time is up. Well, then they just go to these NGOs, which is government funded anyway. So the welfare never stops. The vast majority are not coming here to work. They're coming here to live off welfare. And we already have work visa programs. We already have traveling work programs. We already have seasonal work programs. So these arguments from the Democrats don't hold any water, and it'll get proven if there is a mass deportation and the economy's not going to change. You're still going to have plenty of people to pick the crops or do the construction or clean your house, however the Democrats want to say it is. But this standard that, we're just supposed to accept anybody that comes into the country, that has to be completely flipped. That just has to be completely reversed. If you want to come into the country, you got to come in legally. It's that simple. And we should probably just have a moratorium on asylum and refugee status, period, for 10 years. No asylum seekers, no refugee seekers in America for 10 years. For 10 years. Until you get it all figured out. Until we get all these people deported. Until we have an idea of how many are here illegally. How much money it's cost us. All right, I see the crew is trying to get the mic lined up here. Scott, I think, wants to weigh in. So go ahead, fire away.
So I think that the actual process and how it's going to happen is, I think what they'll do is your first targets are going to be known criminals, gang members, and things like that. And they'll target those ones first, and those ones will be targeted because it's hard for the media to spin that they should be here. You're a known criminal, you're a known gang member. They're going to be rounded up, and they're going to be gotten rid of. I think the next step that they'll do is they'll take the portal that they have now, and they'll change it into where you have to tell us who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. And they're going to open up that process and let people tell us that you're here. Tell us what you're doing. Tell us what you've applied for and things like that. That will set up their court dates and move that forward. And then that next group of deportations will be the people that they know of that did not apply into that thing to tell us that, hey, I'm here. I'm trying to be a part of your country, or I'm applying for asylum, or any of that. Those will be rounded up. And I think those will be the first two groups that they round up, because those will be the ones that aren't trying to follow a system, and it will be hard for the media to spin that those people should be here if they're not actually trying to follow our system.
Well, never underestimate the media spin. But that is 58,000 in New York City alone.
I understand. And I also think that, when you're going through it, I think you're going to find that I think that they're going to crack down on people that are using the government money in order. I think those are going to be quickly gotten rid of and sent back to their countries, because you're abusing our system, you're abusing our tax money and things of that nature. And I think that's the process that they're going to go through. I think they're going to have an actual system set up that is going to be really hard for people to be against. Do you want criminals and gang members in your here from other countries? That's your first group that's going to be gone, and Holman's made that pretty clear. And I think Adams is going to be a part of that too, to where he's showing that, hey, I don't want these people here. Let's get them out. And I think that will be your first wave that goes. And then I think a lot of them are going to self-deport. I think they're going to get themselves out of here because they think that they're going to be taken out anyways.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have an element of self-deportation, and I would try to create the environment to make that as easy as possible.
100%.
So that, that's kind of the path of least resistance would be the self-deportation. But, if I'm Holman, based off of what Holman has said publicly, I think he probably already feels this way, but he needs to have others as well. We don't care what you say. We have to do this. This isn't our fault, right? We didn't bring all these people in here. We didn't create this situation in these cities. So you can't now sit there and guilt trip us saying, oh, it's immoral, it's unconscionable, it's xenophobic, all this stuff. No. You did this. We're cleaning up your mess. And, this was a big topic today, I know, on the Alex Jones show. I think the icing on the cake, kind of the umbrella of all of this, like you said, well, if you can have the right messaging, say, hey, we don't want the criminals, the gang members, maybe it takes. I think the umbrella of all this is the children. I think if you start locating these children and you start telling the stories of what these children have gone through, hundreds of thousands, then all the other noise, it just becomes like white noise in the background. And it's just like, yeah, shut the hell up. You literally put children into sex slavery. You're done. You have no say here.
And I'd be willing to bet that when you're getting that first wave of criminals and gang members out, you're going to find a lot of those kids that they say they don't know where they are.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess.
And by the way, that's producer Scott here. Glad to have you weighing in. I was watching last night. We had Ryan Matta in studio, producer of the documentary Operation Amber Alert. I watched that last night. I did a live watch party on my Rumble and X channel. And they found, and they had a bunch of whistleblowers, they found a case, I forget where it was, where they had these dilapidated housing situations next to a strip club that locals, the rumor from the locals was it was like a human trafficking hub, no windows at this venue. And they had this like worn down housing complex where they sent hundreds of kids. It would have been like 8 kids per room on the numbers. So these are the so-called sponsors that the current Biden policy is handing these kids over to. 8 kids in a room in this housing unit. Of course, nobody's there. You can't find them. The whole thing's ludicrous. They sent a crew out there, and there's no kids. Supposedly hundreds of kids there. None of them are there. Right next to a strip club. I mean, this is the kind of crap that is happening all over the country. It's really, I mean, that's what's unconscionable. Not sending somebody home for a crime they willingly committed, putting these children into obvious situations. And then when the whistleblower brought it up to the superiors and said, hey, we just found this case over here. This unit has gotten hundreds of kids. It can't possibly be. They say, hey, shut up.
Well, and I would like to see that be cracked down on. Who's putting those kids into that position? Who are the people that allowed that to transpire, to put those kids in the worst possible position in the world? And those people should be prosecuted and put into prison immediately.
Completely agree. All right, Scott, glad to have you weighing in on this.
No problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, wait till you see what's happening in New Jersey. This is Democrats they really hate this country. Some of these Democrats, they hate you. They hate this country to levels of which you can't even believe. But we'll show you. We will show you. First, though, remember, now I believe, unfortunately, the cyber sales at thealexjonesstore.com have expired. If the crew would pull thealexjonesstore.com up for me. But you can still get big discounts when you become a member of the VIP club at thealexjonesstore.com/VIP. You have $40 of credits per month to spend at the store. You get free shipping on purchases over $99. You get added bonuses like more entries into raffles, including exclusive raffles or giveaways when you're a member of the VIP club. But still, right now at thealexjonesstore.com, every purchase gets you multiple entries into the Monster Truck giveaway. So the Monster Truck giveaway is live with every purchase. You qualify for multiple entries in the Monster Truck giveaway at thealexjonesstore.com. So whether it's the energy gummies or the other supplements or all of the InfoWars gear and hats, the Trump One gear at thealexjonesstore.com, you will get multiple entries into the Monster Truck giveaway. So have fun and become a VIP member over at thealexjonesstore.com. All right, what is going on in New Jersey? This is wild. Edison bans American flag, Constitution, and American props from council meeting. They didn't like the Republicans and the conservatives coming in there waving flags and citing the Constitution. So they banned it. They banned it. This was a short clip from the meeting, clip 5.
Wrong. I'm holding up an American flag to represent the Constitutional values.
I'm going to give you a warning, and if you continue, I will have to forfeit. You'll have to forfeit your time.
Well,
Sir, I'm wasting your time.
It's my Constitution.
If you continue,
it's my constitutional right to do this.
You didn't
If you get sued, you will lose. My suggestion to you is that you get a second opinion from competent counsel because you are wrong. You are interfering with the integrity of this meeting by
I'm going long here, so let's play this clip on the other side of the break. This is Democrats in Edison, New Jersey, recently adopted an ordinance that bans the American flag, the Constitution, and other props from council meetings. Members also adopted an ordinance that limits public speaking time for 6 to 4 minutes with no time for rebuttal. So this is their new decorum ordinance. You can't have an American flag. You can't cite the Constitution in America. In America. Democrats in Edison, New Jersey. Well, they got something else coming. Lawsuits and something else. We'll play the full clip on the other side.
Most people that research supplements and that are into health know that Irish sea moss and its benefits are documented and incredible. Well, our sponsor, the AlexJonesStore.com, happened to be able to get one of the top suppliers with the highest rated Irish sea moss to give them the authorization to private label it. So now it's Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss, exclusively available at the AlexJonesStore.com. It is the ultimate superfood. The iodine, the trace minerals, the elements, the vitamins that are in this are incredible. They give you instant energy, instant focus, but as you take it for a few weeks, you feel the stamina, the libido, the mental clarity. It is a superfood. It is concentrated. So get Alex Jones Ultimate Sea Moss exclusively discounted at thealexjonesstore.com. And listen to this. 1 bottle is 40% off. 3 bottles is 55% off. And again, 1 bottle is 40%. Get yours today at thealexshowstore.com. And I thank you for keeping us on the air.
Trigger warning. This broadcast contains subject matter that might trigger liberal snowflakes. It's The War Room with Owen Schroyer.
And the Democrats are really reeling after this Trump victory, banning American flags and the Constitution from city council meetings. Protect our democracy. Trump's anti-American. No. Oh, we're banning American flags. Oh, we're banning the Constitution. Amazing stuff. Yeah, I don't think this will go well for the Edison, New Jersey Democrats. Let's play this whole clip, though. I cut it off short because I went long in that last segment. So here it is. Man goes to the city council with the banned American flag, and they threaten to have him removed for waving the American flag. Listen to this.
Wrong. I'm holding up an American flag to represent the constitutional values that we
I'm going to give you a warning, and if you continue, I will have to forfeit. You'll have to forfeit your time.
Well, I'm
your time.
It's my constitution. It's my constitutional right to do this.
You didn't
If you get sued, you will lose. My suggestion to you is that you get a second opinion from competent counsel because you are wrong. You are interfering with the decorum of this meeting by interfering with the right to speech of a member of the public. You're interfering with the speech, and it should stop now. I'd like to continue.
They didn't pass the law yet.
Now the cops are coming in. He's reported into the police to be removed for waving an American flag.
And it violates the law. Your time should be forfeited. Your position should be forfeited. By your actions, you forfeited your right to preside over this meeting.
Please have it in the room. That's another thing. Room. Thank you.
Shame on you.
The police should have disobeyed that command.
No, my time's forfeited. I'll sit back down.
Off. You continued after your time was forfeited. You continued after the officers told you to sit down. You continued after the council president repeatedly asked you to stop. You've now been asked to be removed from the chambers.
There's no reason to remove me from the chambers because I am not interfering with the decorum. I'm ready. Excuse me. I'm ready to sit here quietly, and I will not interfere with your decorum. So I have a right to be here.
Can I get a second? Second. All in favor? All right. This council meeting has been recessed for 5 minutes. We'll be back at 7:04.
Now here are the police removing him.
Are you ejecting him from the meeting? Officers, are you ejecting him from the meeting?
You can't even believe that this is happening. This isn't going to go well, I will tell you. Their next meeting is December 11th. If you happen to be in the Edison, New Jersey area, I certainly don't suggest that you go there. And I would certainly warn you against waving that American flag. That would be a bad idea. Don't even think about that. That is illegal activity. That is contraband to wave an American flag in front of those Edison, New Jersey Democrats. So don't even dare think about that. And I can't believe the boldness of Scott Presler, who now claims he's going to go to that council meeting and bring people with him waving American flags. Can you believe the nerve? New Jersey Democrats banned the American flag at their city council meetings. It would be a shame if everyone showed up with American flags. It would be even more shameful if there's a voter registration table to switch to Republican. How much you want to bet that happens on December 11th? See, because there's a new Republican. There's a new right wing. And you might not like everybody. You might not agree with all of their cultural values. But we're here to win. We're here to win. And when we say we're going to do something, we do it. And when you try to ban the American flag at a city council, we show up with more people and larger American flags. In fact, you know, there's one legend in New York who makes 40-foot Trump flags. I've dropped one of them at a Texas Rangers game. I would be surprised if one of those makes an appearance. You're messing with the new...
The program that strikes fear into the heart of the elite. It's The War Room with Owen Schroyer.
Joined by independent journalist Ivory Hecker. And there's a couple things I want to discuss with her. And I want to discuss her journey as an independent journalist. And she's got some new things she's developing on that part of her work. But actually, I wanted to get her on to talk about her experience down at the southern border just before Thanksgiving. Before last Thanksgiving, rather. But she was resharing these videos. And I've had this experience before, Ivory, where you go to the scene of a story, and before you can even turn your microphone on, the things are already developing right behind you in front of your cameras, and you're just like, I don't even have my mic on. Where's my headset? What is this? Just film it. And so that happened with you last November. You went down to the border to document what was going on. And before you could even start filming, you saw the National Guard start pulling the illegal immigrants over the border wall there with the barbed wire. All your trips to the border, everything you've seen down there, what is your synopsis? And then what do you think needs to happen once the Trump administration gets in?
Well, I think that being there in person shows that corporate media coverage of the border is not always that accurate, because when we got to the border, we were seeing Abbott's National Guard troops helping migrants in across the border. And the national news narrative was that Abbott was the opposition to Biden's border patrol, that Abbott's National Guard were there to have Texas stand their ground and keep illegals from crossing. In fact, the National Guard was busy building those barbed wire fences. But when we got to the barbed wire fences, I guess the National Guard may have built them, but then they were helping to trample them over by bringing migrants in and then handing them off to Biden's Border Patrol. So Abbott's National Guard and Biden's Border Patrol were apparently working together. And we weren't hearing anything like this in any of the media. So it's so important to have independent journalists on the ground in as many places as possible to show what is really happening. And, you know, I have high hopes with the new administration that things will get a lot better. The border will be more secure. Remain in Mexico policy will hopefully be reinstated. That was a huge deterrent for migrants to even come to Mexico to cross into the U.S. because migrants knew that if they did that, they would be left in a tent in Mexico for who knows how long until their court date. But day one of Biden's administration, he removed Remain in Mexico. And that's when we saw an unprecedented surge of illegals.
Hold on, Ivory. You're clearly not in Texas. Bigfoot just walked behind your screen. Okay, I don't know. I don't know where you are. This is crazy. Bigfoot just walked behind you in the screen. This is insane. Did you set that up?
Yeah, this is. I'm skiing in Durango right now.
Well, apparently Bigfoot likes to shred it up because he's out there right now.
Yeah. So,
I couldn't help myself. You're sitting here talking about the border, and a damn Bigfoot walks across the back of the screen twice. Independent journalism strikes again. You've finally done it. You've captured Bigfoot.
We got to get to the bottom of Bigfoot as well. But you know what? In my time in Colorado doing journalism, I've seen the impact of illegal immigration here. I went out to Colorado. I just asked the viewers, what should I cover while I'm here? And the viewers said, cover the homeless camps. I thought that was strange. Since when do viewers care that much about the homeless? And so I go out there every single homeless person in the tents on center medians of Denver were Venezuelan people. Nobody spoke English. They all said they had just crossed the Rio Grande a few weeks ago, and now they were homeless in a tent in Denver in the winter, and they didn't know what to do because FEMA had paid for the hotels for 2 weeks, but then FEMA cut them off, and would they survive the sub-freezing temperatures? And so, again, it's so important to get out there on the ground in Colorado like I am right now, or at the Texas border, and show what's really happening. And is Biden's policy really so humanitarian as he seems to? A lot of people seem to believe that, it's gracious of Biden to let these people in because they want a better life. How many of them actually froze to death? We don't know. Nobody's covering how many of these migrants actually freeze to death.
Well, and that's kind of an angle of this, too. They don't get to live on government welfare forever. They're lucky if they can get into one of these NGO programs and basically just live off the NGO for as long as possible. They're even more fortunate if they can get to a city like Springfield, Ohio, and maybe get a job where one of these companies has a deal to hire the illegal immigrants, and then one of these big real estate companies that owns all the houses can put them up in a house. But, 20 million people, not all of them get taken care of. Some of them end up homeless. Is there an element to this where they're being duped and they're being lied to? Because we know this whole thing is a giant. This is a $1 billion industry. People are making a ton of money off the illegal immigration industry. Do a lot of them get duped and then end up in a similar situation that they tried to escape from?
I absolutely believe so, because the American media, most of the mainstream media, portrays it as, these people successfully crossing the border and having this great access to American resources once they're here. And what we've witnessed on the ground is some horrible stuff. I think some of the people who cross illegally probably do find their way to a better life, but watching those homeless people who made their way from Venezuela was heartbreaking, in the dead of winter in a tent, talking to women from Central America who'd been brought up by coyotes, saying that they were raped multiple times on their way to the U.S. border. One man I know, he crossed the border at San Diego, and it was a coyote bringing him and a bunch of other people across, and he said he witnessed multiple women and children be shot in the head and killed because they couldn't pay their fees to the coyotes. They had run out of money while en route. And how many of these stories actually get told to these migrants who are coming from around the world? How many of them know that they very well may die a horrific death on their way to the USA? So that is why I'm trying to help other people become independent journalists, so that we can get out there and cover these stories, because the corporate media is currently downsizing a lot, and they're not doing as good of coverage of reality because they can't. They're out of money because advertisers aren't paying for corporate media because nobody's watching corporate media anymore.
Well, and really they've been proven ineffective. And I'll tell you what, if the big pharmaceutical money dries up, they're going to be in a world of hurt. And you have an interesting story, and you can talk about what you're launching next as far as the independent journalism is concerned. But really your backstory, I think, is important as well, because you took a shot. You bet on yourself. You wanted to maintain your integrity when you were working for a local network station. And when you were reporting on COVID and vaccines, you had a story. You wanted to tell the story. You were basically being told, you can get into the finer details, but you were basically being told that, hey, this is not how you're going to tell the story or even cover the story. You decided to go out with a bang. You did cover the story. You then left your position at the local news outlet and went independent. So, you kind of have the blueprint of being in what you might call mainstream network news, but saying, hey, I'm going to abandon this for my own integrity reasons, my own ethical reasons, and I'm going to go do independence. And so you can show a lot of people kind of the ropes from both ends of the spectrum. But what about the aspect of keeping your ethics? What about the aspect of, because so many people, it's hard to understand, we don't work in media, when there's something you want to do, something you want to cover, a story you want to tell, and you just can't do it. Some people don't care. They're just in it for the money. But some people that really irks. And for you, that was obviously an issue you couldn't ignore. You had to move on.
Yeah, ethics is something that I'm teaching students as well now that I'm educating independent journalism students. But ethics is something that independent journalists have to deal with, corporate media journalists have to deal with. And, you know, when I left Fox, it was because they threatened to fire me over covering the truth about COVID treatment in the pandemic. And one of the things that they had a muzzle on, you couldn't talk about ivermectin whatsoever. And so I didn't care about ivermectin until they banned me from covering it. I looked into it and realized the hospital they didn't want me to cover was saving 4 times more lives. That just was bone chilling and horrifying to think there may be blood on Fox's hands for hiding a treatment that appears to be really working. So the first independent report I did was on what was working to save 4 times more lives during the pandemic. But then a group that promotes ivermectin wanted to start paying me to promote it. I said I have to turn down that money because if I'm covering it, I can't be taking money in regards to it. And that's an ethical scenario, just an example of something that we teach in my new independent journalism class is, you know, keep your independence, keep your ethics. Don't just get paid to promote something. But, you know, by being separated from ivermectin, I could look at it clearly and say, is this really working? Well, here's what I'm finding. Did a great in-depth report on it. And it really seems that ivermectin saved a lot of lives. And to this day, it's horrifying that Fox would fire people for covering that. So, I've got the new course out, freepresscourse.com. We're going to empower a lot of independent journalists to cover what the corporate media bans their reporters from covering.
Now, is this something that you're overseeing, or is this something you just give the people the tools and the knowledge and then they go out on their own, or do you kind of keep them under your wing, if you will, and say, hey, here's a story over here, or hey, maybe go sniff around over there?
Yeah, I'm going to be mentoring the students. So I started mentoring one group of students in September, and we're just wrapping up the 12 weeks of kind of having those students under my wing and helping them to not only learn everything that I learned in the corporate media and independent journalism and J School, but actually go out there, be successful, and help promote their independent work. And so we're just launching my second round of students now. And so if they want to do the full course with me for the next 3 months, they can, or just take my free class. I've given away a free class as an example of what I'm teaching. Right there on the site, you can see. But this is something I'm so passionate about. When I left Fox, this is something that I had wanted to do for a very long time. And now that it's been more than 3 years since I left Fox, I finally gotten to create this course. It took a lot of months to put together everything that I have learned, minus all the BS you learn in these universities of J School.
I'm so glad you said that, because I went to college too and graduated, and I was in a J School, and I found so much of that just watered down. And I was going to ask how much of your training is actually hands-on, because I learned way more. I mean, I would probably even advise there's certain things you'll learn there, and maybe you'll get a good professor. But I advise people, you're much better off. I mean, if you want to get a degree, that's one thing, but you're much better off just getting finding an apprenticeship or finding some way into a media outlet out of high school or in high school, even if you're just interning. You will learn so much more hands-on than you will in 4 years of college. I mean, it's really not even comparable. And then once you get out, you basically have to relearn everything anyway. And so I always found that hands-on training was much more efficient and effective. How much of your course, or how much are you teaching as far as like actual hands-on training?
It's a lot of hands-on with my training. First couple modules go over the principles and ethics. the equipment you might need as an independent journalist. And then once you got that equipment, you dive right into starting to put together stories, and I review them and, get your face in front of a camera, get on social media. The audience, the American people, they don't watch TV news a lot anymore. A lot of times it's on social media. They want to follow an influencer. MSNBC was even just covering this. The fact that the majority of especially Gen Zers and millennials, they want to get their news from an influencer on social media. This is a huge opportunity for independent journalists to seize this moment where news consumers want to get the news that way and use it to fill in the blanks, covering the stories the corporate media won't. Corporate media is having to downsize right now because people are just not turning on their TVs. It's a combo of changes in technology and the news just being fake and out of touch with the people, not being curious about the people's questions, not getting answers for the people. So that's where independent journalism comes in. I think it's an exciting time in history, and definitely getting a lot of hands-on training in this course. I want those students by the end to be already successful independent journalists doing their own stories by the end of the training.
Well, here's what I've noticed. Let's just say in the last 8 years, and it kind of goes before that, but let's just look at 3 presidential elections, because maybe you could argue that's the most consequential time, if you're in political media, certainly, is a presidential election cycle. In 2016, I think it was the first time where social media had enough of an impact and a footprint on an election result where it was kind of like, whoa, this is kind of a new phenomenon. Normally, it's the news media on your network news, your cable news, that's going to be able to kind of dictate the results or bend the results to their will. Well, they failed with Trump. And that was mostly in part to social media and their growing footprint in political news. That's why I think the censorship started happening in 2018 and beyond, because they realized, hey, we got to get this under control now. We can't control the internet. Even all the mechanisms of censorship and everything, it's still kind of the Wild West. There's still ways to get around this. Even if we do go after people on the big social media platforms, there's still going to be different avenues and people can build and grow. So they really had to get out ahead of that, because they realized that this completely changes everything. We no longer can control election cycles with the corporate news. And then, of course, after 2020, they had success with the censorship. Elon Musk buys X. Rumble starts to emerge. Some other independent sources are able to gain a large following again. But yet, I'm not sure we've crossed the threshold. I think we're getting closer with 2024. To say that there's no impact right now with mainstream cable network news is just people aren't just being honest. But it's a generational thing. I think 2028, but definitely 2032, now that you have a smartphone and you can stream anything, now that you have a smart TV you can stream anything from, people are unplugging, literally, not just figuratively, but they're unplugging their cable and they're finding new ways to get their news. They're finding new sources, new ways to get their news via these new devices. I think by 2032, the impact of network cable news will no longer be the major impact. It will be the minor impact, and it's going to be social media. It's going to be independent journalists that are now going to have the biggest effect. I don't think we've crossed that threshold yet, but I think we're probably 2 presidential election cycles away from independent journalism and some of these social media or other apps, other networks. I think 2032 is the year where the corporate news is done as far as controlling election narratives. I think it's done.
It's getting pretty close to being done already. With this presidential election, we saw both candidates prioritize podcast, social media personalities. Call Her Daddy and Joe Rogan were 2 of the top podcasters out there. And so they prioritized sitting down with those people, which we wouldn't see in historic elections. And then Deadline reported just this past week that the Fourth Estate has been hit hard. Deadline is reporting that more than 500 journalists were laid off from news outlets across the country. And it's because advertising is going down. And advertising data shows that advertisers are switching to influencers and podcasters because that's where the audience is. So the shift is really happening. With the audience shifting, the money is shifting, and a lot of these outlets are going to be going out of business. I think a lot of journalism students who are in J school right now need to start realizing, are you really going to go work for a network outlet? Because they're going to pay you chump change right now. And then you're probably going to get laid off. You know, friends of mine who complied with Fox when Fox had a deceptive narrative in 2020. There was a lot of backlash against Fox, and Fox, tried to kind of correct course, and that's good. I hope they keep listening to the people, or they'll be out of business. But people who complied with the fake narratives of Fox that used to work with me, they got laid off anyway. So is it really worth it to comply with these fake outlets that pay you chump change, make you lie to the people, and then you kick you to the curb with the layoff anyway? I hope J school students realize that you need to just dive into independent journalism, really.
Yeah, or certainly build a understanding of how it operates in your head when that day comes, because learning how to navigate the internet, learning how to navigate social media, but then actually like the applied practices of, okay, how do I get on a live stream? How do I build a social media account? How do I actually go through the technical things to make it possible to do this? They don't really teach much of that in journalism schools. They're still kind of focused on some of the old stuff. Most of it's just watered down at this point anyway. So very exciting for you. I'm sure it's been a crazy 3 years. Congratulations on launching your independent journalism class. I'm sure it'll be a smashing success, just like your career has been since you ditched the corporate media. You're going to get off of this, maybe hit the slopes like Hunter Biden, except in a different meaning. And you're going to go find the Bigfoot footage walking behind you. I'm telling you, we captured Bigfoot. You can't even believe it. I think you staged it. It was a brilliant job. It was totally brilliant marketing for you to stage Bigfoot walking across the screen. Well done.
Swear I didn't, but that's exciting. I can't wait to watch back this clip.
I'm telling you, first he came across the first window, and I was like, what? And then my crew was like, did you just see Bigfoot? And then he came across the second window. He's probably up in a tree. I don't know what's going on. But I'm glad we captured Bigfoot live on the air. So how about that? We did it.
Perfect.
All right,
Great
Ivory, great stuff. Congratulations on the launch. And any other breaking news, you're always welcome on this show.
Thank you so much. Great being with you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go with Ivory Hecker. Really just a great story when it comes to independent journalism and ditching the corporate news and making it on your own, and now teaching others how to do the same thing. And it's a sign of the times of where the media is going to. It's definitely a sign of the times. All right, we still got a lot of news coming up here, and we got a really fun guest coming up in the third hour as well. We'll hit the news on the other side of this break.
My fellow Patriots, there are a lot of amazing Patriot gear, supplements, you name it, at thealexjonestore.com. But we've now added a whole bunch of other really cool items. There are a bunch of amazing campaign coins for InfoWars for $17.76. For the Fight for Liberty on the site as low as $9.99. Some of the challenge coins are $14.97. They're great fundraisers for us. They have a lot of weight in them. They look great. They're great conversation starters, great gifts, great keepsakes, mementos, and you know that you've supported the InfoWar. So I want to thank you all for your past support and encourage you now to go to thealexjonestore.com, our amazing sponsor that will keep us on air one way or the other. If InfoWars gets shut down, that's okay, because they're a great sponsor. They're not owned by me, and the bad guys won't be able to shut down thealexjonestore.com. So go there for the campaign coins and so much more today, and keep me in the fight. Thank you so much for your support.
The War Room. Infowars.com/show.
The beacon of truth in a world of deceit. It's the War Room with Owen Schroyer.
Living in darkness became on fire.
else there is for us to do. I mean, we captured Bigfoot on a live video. This is even more ridiculous because Bigfoot is a big joke around here. We did if Darren McBreen is listening right now, he's probably cracking up over in the other office. We did a spoof, a Project Veritas spoof video where I'm like obsessed with Bigfoot and I'm complaining because Alex won't let me cover Bigfoot. It's a joke. And it's just kind of like a little running gag here. But then we just captured Bigfoot live on the show. So apparently Bigfoot wears neon green winter coats. That's how he's able to disguise himself. But we got him. We got him, didn't we? All right. You know, maybe Bigfoot needs a hoodie from the AlexJonesStore.com. What kind of hoodie do you think Bigfoot would wear? We do have the new Christmas attire at the AlexJonesStore.com. We do have the new Christmas attire. Maybe one of these. Bigfoot's probably festive. I think Bigfoot's probably a big Christmas sweater guy. You know, he puts off that vibe. Check it out at the AlexJonesStore.com. All the new Christmas sweaters. You got the Nakatomi Plaza, the MAGA tour sweatshirt. You got the Bad Santa, Alex Jones in a Santa hat. You've got your Merry Christmas. You got a Doge hoodie. You got Daddy's Home. All kinds of new apparel over there at the AlexJonesStore.com. But the Christmas sweaters are in at the AlexJonesStore.com. And don't forget, when you become a member of the VIP club at the AlexJonesStore.com/VIP, you have other exclusive giveaways and discounts. $40 store credit every month. And with every Christmas sweater you purchase, you will get multiple entries into the Monster Truck Raffle at the AlexJonesStore.com. Bigfoot in a Christmas sweater. Only here. Nowhere else, ladies and gentlemen. All right. What else do we have going on here? Joe Biden just gave you another middle finger. We're going to tell you what it's all about. The United States announces more than $1 billion in humanitarian assistance to address food insecurity and other needs in Africa. So you in North Carolina, you are struggling after Hurricane Helene. Many are homeless. Winter is approaching. Christmas is approaching. You know, there was a local news outlet in Western North Carolina, and they went out and they talked to some of the people that are basically living in huts, and they won't sell their land. They won't give up everything to the government in this land grab, so they're basically forced to live in a tent. They're finding ways to deal with the cold, and they said, it's so heartbreaking, and they said, well, what's harder than dealing with the cold is trying to explain to my kids why Santa isn't coming this year. Heartbreaking. What's harder than living in the cold is trying to explain to my kids why Santa isn't coming this year. But he's going to Africa, and he's taking $1 billion with him. Today, President Biden announced that the United States is providing more than $1 billion in additional human assistance, because at USAID.gov, you'll see they're already getting a lot of money from us. So over $1 billion in humanitarian assistance to address food insecurity and other urgent needs of refugees. Oh, we just pay for everything forever. Internally displaced persons and affected communities in 31 African countries. The funding, announced during President Biden's visit to Angola, includes nearly $823 million through U.S. aid, of which more than $202 million is from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Commodity Credit Corporation, and nearly $186 million through the U.S. Department of State. So this is obviously absurd. Americans can't even get assistance with FEMA or other emergencies. We're paying for refugees if they come here. We're paying for refugees if they stay there. We're giving money to third world countries, and then we're taking all of their asylum seekers. It's completely outrageous. But what's really going on? Joe Biden just paid Africa $1 billion so that we could have a military presence there. That's what's really going on. Humanitarian aid and, taking money from the State Department and the Agriculture Commodity Credit Corporation and the USAID. That's just a front. Biden just went to Africa to get a military presence in West Africa after Niger kicked us out, and the cost was $1 billion to do it. That's what's really going on. Because it's very important that we have a presence in Africa. Our southern border, not so much. Africa, absolutely. So that's what's really going on here, folks. And where do you think that $1 billion is going to go? Let me ask you this. Do you think $1 billion is going to solve any of the problems in Africa? No. But I bet you in the right areas with the right people, they'll be doing just fine for multiple generations, if you catch my drift. Just political corruption through and through. But the people of Africa won't. They might get a little. They might get may have a couple meals, might fill their bellies. Maybe we build a farm here or there. Please. You think $1 billion, you think all that money is going to go to helping the poor Africans? No. They cut a deal. Hey, Joe, you want military presence in West Africa? Give us $1 billion. Yeah, we'll build a farm or two. We'll build a little, we'll build a little agricultural infrastructure over here. We'll fill a couple bellies. Take a couple pictures even. We'll even name a farm the Biden farm. But yeah, we know where that money's really going. I mean, my kids are going to have a private jet, bud. And you can build your military bases. So we get a couple farms, we fill a couple bellies, you get your military presence, and I get rich. Politics. Might as well cover the other geopolitical news that we have here while we're at it. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. This was today. Jake Sullivan says massive surge of military equipment headed to Ukraine before Trump takes office. You've already had 2 massive surges, but there will be more. What was it? Was it yesterday or last week? Like 700 million or 725 million? Oh, there's going to be more. So it was 6.8 billion in the beginning of the month. Then it was 725 million at the end of the month. Well, now it's December. So now it's the December surge. It's all more money laundering. Do you see why I get so upset? $1 billion in Africa. What could we have done with $1 billion for America? There'll be more billions of dollars going to Ukraine. What could we have done with billions of dollars in America? I'm not a socialist. I live in a socialist country, illegitimately. But I mean, golly gee, I suppose I could be charitable. What we could have done with those billions of dollars. Yeah, they'll still be probably close to $10 billion they'll send to Ukraine before it's all said and done. Again, I'm not a socialist, but okay, I tell you this, I'd much rather spend $100 billion on America socialist programs than sending it to Africa and Ukraine and everywhere else in the world. I promise you that. It's a damn guarantee. Hell, go build a Christmas park in downtown Austin for $1 million. I don't give a damn. I'd rather have that than it go to Ukraine. We have these Christmas festivities. You pay like $100. You get to drive around in some of these Christmas things they have set up, and special access and whatever, local fun things. But you pay like $100 to take your family there. Well, let's take some of this money and let's just build these Christmas things. We can go for free now. How about that? Oh, no. This money is for Africa. This money is for Ukraine. It's like you can't even, honestly, you can't even fathom what we could be building, what could we could be doing with all this money that they steal from us. Or just stop stealing the money from us and we can keep it ourselves and then we can decide what we want to do with the money. I guess that's radical. I guess, wow, who could have, geez. So a lot of drama in South Korea. It came and went. This is like from this morning till before I got on air. South Korea president declares emergency martial law, sending shockwaves across country. There are protests that erupted, even though they were illegal. And then South Korea's president lifts martial law. So there's a lot of things going on there. Maybe we will have a special guest on tomorrow to talk about it. Then there is Russia. Putin stages hypersonic war games in the Mediterranean as two warships blast 6,900-mile-per-hour missiles in message to West over Syria and Ukraine. 6,900? 6,900? Is there something? No. Putin ally predicts nuclear radiation zone could end war in Ukraine. All this talk of nuclear war. Again, I hope it's just saber rattling. I hope it's just tough guying. I hope it's just pumping your chest up for your people. But this corrupt deep state Biden regime is not letting off the gas on the Ukraine situation. I just hope that the Russian leadership and Putin have enough resolve and patience for, what is it now, guys, 50 or 43 days until the inauguration, to just realize it's just, we are dealing with such corruption in Washington, D.C., it's unreal. It's just unreal. 47 days. So, I mean, can you imagine any country? It's like, oh, yeah, we're just going to put a bunch of weapons on your border and we're just going to fund the regime that's against you on the other side of the planet. But you don't do anything and you don't say anything and you don't respond, or you're the bad guy. The solution is actually pretty simple. The United States just needs to get out of NATO. Done. Now it's not my problem. Beautiful. That's what I wanted all along. Meanwhile, they are set to reopen Notre Dame Church in France after it burned down. The grand reopening is happening later this week, and Emmanuel Macron has invited Donald Trump to be there for the vaunted opening, putting Trump at the center of the star-studded VIP event as they reopen the church at Notre Dame. Now, Trump has responded to this invite. He says, "It is an honor to announce that I will be traveling to Paris, France on Saturday to attend the reopening of the magnificent historic Notre Dame Cathedral, which has been fully restored after a devastating fire 5 years ago. President Emmanuel Macron has done a wonderful job ensuring that Notre Dame has been restored to its full level of glory, and even more so. It will be a very special day for all." They really did it. They really built it back better. If there was any build it back better, it was the Notre Dame Cathedral. By the way, how's build back better? Has Biden built anything back better? You know who will also be attending with Donald Trump? That would be Jill Biden. Jill Biden's final foreign trip as First Lady will close with her and Trump at Notre Dame Cathedral. she's going with old Donald. Yeah. Pretty clear after they ran the coup on Biden, do you think Jill and Trump will be arm in arm? No. Do you think Jill would Jill wear red again? Like she did on Election Day? They really ticked the Bidens off when they couped him and replaced him with Kamala Harris. So Jill and Trump will be going to the reopening of the cathedral together in one final international FU to the Democrats from Jill Biden. Now, maybe she can learn something about interior decorating while she's there, because she certainly has no clue how to do Christmas decorations at the White House. It's been abysmal. Meanwhile, Trump's staying busy. President Trump attends funeral for 3 fallen Palm Beach County officers. So he's staying in touch with the American people. He's still following these local stories, local heroes. The mainstream media won't. They won't make heroes out of those men. They will out of lifetime criminals, but for political reasons, but not the good police officers that are fallen in the line of duty. But Trump is always there for them. By the way, did you hear about this? Village People singer defends Trump's use of YMCA and says the song isn't a gay anthem. YMCA singer and co-writer Victor Willis of the band Village People defended President-elect Donald Trump's use of the song Monday. Willis denied that the disco tune was intended as a gay anthem, saying he knew nothing about the Y being a hangout for gays when he wrote the lyrics. By the way, he's the police officer here, in case you were wondering. Yes, in the beige tights. Willis said he wrote YMCA based on what he knew about the worldwide youth organization at the time, particularly the YMCA branches in the urban areas of San Francisco. Not a gay anthem. When I say, this is quoting Willis now, when I say hang out with all the boys, that is simply 1970s black slang for black guys hanging out together for sports, gambling, or whatever. There's nothing gay about that. Yeah, maybe we should cue up the YMCA when we go to this break next. Willis said he has received more than 1,000 complaints about the use of YMCA at Trump's campaign rallies. But he's a fan of it. He likes it. He said it's fun. It's even climbing back on top of the charts. He said, for example, YMCA was stuck at number 2 on the Billboard chart prior to the president-elect's use. However, the song finally made it to number 1 on a Billboard chart after over 45 years due to Trump's use. And he says the financial benefits have been great. That's the Trump effect. So the YMCA gets the green light. Yeah, good for Willis. Not gay. He wants you to know. Not gay. Really, the YMCA actually does a lot of great work. A lot of great youth programs there. I was a part of them, actually, for a couple years. I was a part of some of their youth programs. They really do good work. And, I mean, for what you get there, it's like, for the money, it's one of the best outlets for parents sometimes. But I will say there were some gay incidents in the men's locker rooms. And in fact, it was such an issue at one of the locations, part of the youth program that I was in, we had to have a policy. I would have to go into the men's locker room and check the entire thing, showers, sauna, everything, and clear out the locker room so that the kids could come in there for 5 minutes to put their bags and stuff away before they went to the pool or went out to the park or whatever. So there is a little, There's definitely something going on at the YMCA men's sauna. You've been warned. But maybe that's the case at all gyms. I don't know. I just don't know. All right. Donald Trump's FBI pick, Kash Patel, gets lukewarm reception from GOP senators. Now, the Democrats have already came out and said, nope, we won't confirm it, and we're not going to vote for him. So this is where things get scary. This is where things get hairy. Now, Trump's strategy is clear right now. He's just basically clogging the pipes with all of his nominations. He's just shoving as many nominations into the framework as possible that they really can't even properly respond, and they basically have to play this whack-a-mole game, and they're going to have to decide, all right, who are we going to focus on, who are we going to do the hit pieces on, and then who's going to kind of fly under the radar. Kash Patel has as good of a resume and experience as any FBI director ever, and should be confirmed easily. But you have the Anti-Freedom Caucus in the Senate, that's what I'm calling it, it's the anti-Trump voting bloc, of Thune, McConnell, Murkowski, and Collins that could basically, I mean, theoretically, they could try to block anything. So that's going to be one of the first big tests, is to see if Kash Patel can get through the confirmation process. But I'm telling you, these hearings are going to be fireworks, man. These hearings are going to be fireworks. Politics has changed. Every once in a while, you'd have something big like the Clarence Thomas hearing. But, I mean, now it's like every hearing is going to be epic. So it's the same people we expect. It'll be Collins. It'll be Thune. It'll be Murkowski. And then, you know, McConnell's just basically, you know, he's half zombie anyway. But those four are going to be an issue in this Senate. Democrat Jared Moskowitz joins Congressional DOJ caucus. He's the first Democrat to join the Congressional Delivering Outstanding Government Efficiency, Department of Government Efficiency caucus. And he says he is excited, and he believes it should be a nonpartisan issue to streamline government and reduce ineffective government spending. And this is, you already have Representative Aaron Bean from Florida, Pete Sessions from Texas, Joni Ernst, who's going to be a major role here, from Iowa. But the real challenge of DOJ is going to be getting cooperation from Congress. That's going to be the real operational hazard here, is can you get cooperation from Congress? And it could likely be an uphill battle. But that'll be exciting to watch. And here's an example of why we need it. Colin Wright reporting here with the source, the Committee Analysis of U.S. Spending Data. During the Biden-Harris administration, the proportion of NSF funding allocated to DEI efforts increased by over 9,000% from 2021 to 2024, rising from 0.29% to 27.21%. DEI training. Spending millions on DEI training. All right, we close out this hour with the Not Gay YMCA.
Now, the one thing I want you to do, if I could ask you to do anything for America and Alex and this network and this crew, the one thing I would ask you to do, go to thealexjonesstore.com right now and sign up for Alex Jones VIP Club. It's $30 a month, but you get $40 in store credit. So if you're going to buy a $35 shirt, you might as well sign up for the VIP Club so that you can get that extra $10 and just get the shirt that you want. That is going to ensure that we can fund this operation, fund the next operation, and ensure that Alex always has a voice. They can try to steal his identity. They can try to steal his business. They can try to steal America. They can try to sacrifice humanity in nuclear genocide. But if you go to thealexjonesstore.com and sign up for Alex Jones VIP Club, they'll never take away our voice. They'll never take away our freedom. They'll never take away free speech, and we can save America together. Please go now and be the reason Alex Jones will always be on the air.